Welcome to another edition of Journey to Zero. In this segment, we're going to talk about Xcel Energy's ergonomic strategy. Sprains, strains, and repetitive trauma injuries are the most common type of injury at Xcel Energy. They're also the most preventable. In keeping with our Journey to Zero mission, the safety team has set a goal to reduce strains, sprains, and repetitive trauma injuries by 10% a year by implementing focused solutions in 2012 and 2013. Today, we're going to share some inspiring stories about Xcel Energy employees who faced ergonomic challenges at work and found, or even built their own, solutions to those challenges. Let's start with Bayfront Power Plant in Ashland, Wisconsin. Bayfront was originally constructed in 1916, a time when power plant architecture and construction were more focused on the work of the building than the work of the people who ran it. While Bayfront has undergone several expansions and retrofittings, the men who work at the plant recently came across a problem that they needed to solve.
In February, during our block training, we had Joan come in to do ergonomics training that the company was emphasizing during those points in time. And she explained and mentioned that one of the worst positions you could be in is operating something with your hands stretched directly overhead.
My background is industrial engineering, and I come at ergonomics from a systems approach. So that means I'm looking at the interface between the work and the worker. So whether that's the tools they're using, the postures they're getting into, the amount of repetition, the degree to which they're fatigued during the day, I'm looking at all of those factors when I look at individuals and the jobs that they do. They showed me this 4-1 extraction valve, and we went to look at it, showed me the original makeup of it. I worked with the guys to take some measurements of force to turn the valve.
It's one of the larger valves in the plant, and it had been one of the most difficult ones to operate. Initially, years ago, there was a step ladder underneath it, and then a platform with wheels got built with handrails, but the valve was still uncomfortably high, and it was a two-man operation to open and close the valve.
One safety issue was they were on a movable platform, and that was up in the air. So if the platform were to fail, or if they were to move, or there's two people working in a very small area, somebody could fall. And above and beyond that, from an ergonomic standpoint, they're working outside of what we like to call the green zone. They're working above their shoulders, and so you're putting a lot of stress on your shoulders. You don't play to your body's mechanical advantage when you're reaching up over your shoulders to get the work done. It's better to have it between your shoulders and your hips, so right around the waist.
And then our guys sat down and basically devised a way to improve the valve. We looked at manufacturing our own reach rod assembly, so that instead of having to reach overhead, we added about a 6-foot reach rod onto the hand wheel, attached that to the base of the valve, so that now we could operate the valve at waist level.
Well, it reduces the risk for an injury, and it turned it back into a one-man job. One person can do the job now instead of having two.
Well, I've worked with a wide variety of companies, from airlines to mining to financial services. One thing I love about the employees at Xcel is they're very open. They're willing to let you in. They really help you learn about what they do on the job, but they're also very open to changes, and they're very creative. It's wonderful to be able to work with people who take an idea and run with it. And so my job is to help them see what the issues are, and their job is to be creative and work wonders.
Sometimes the solution to a problem is to find a better tool for the job. We visited with a gas crew in Pueblo, Colorado, who showed us an excellent example.
Pinpointing is finding the leak and pinpointing exactly where it is, drilling holes in the street, and deciding where you have to dig to repair the leaks.
The old drill is a backbreaker. Using the drill, you got to go in a little bit and come out with it, and on, it takes a toll on your back. A day long of doing that, and your back's pretty tight, and with the minute drill, it just takes that all out of the equation.
Instead of using the hydraulic drill and having to pull it out of the ground every time you drill a hole, and it's heavy, this one, you can just stand there and drill the hole, and it brings itself back up. You don't have to fight the thing back to get it out of the ground. But this one, it's so much easier on your back.
Well, the most obvious thing to both myself and the workers is that it's a lot easier on their back. They're not doing a lot of tugging and pulling and so forth as the drill bit in the old traditional one gets mired in the clay and so forth, and they're jerking on it and they're having to carry it from the truck to the drill site and so forth.
I would say the weight difference of what your body physically has to do to get the job done is it's totally different. I mean, this one, the Minic drill, it's almost effortless to drill a hole.
My background is first and foremost as a physical therapist, and with years and years of experience working with problems after the fact and so forth, what really got me into the field of specializing in the ergonomics of the workplace is to prevent the problems that we would see clinically. So I take a little bit more of a human body mechanics perspective. I'm always looking at how tools are designed, and is there a better way that can help us position the arms or the back in a better position that's not so stressful.
Well, in the long run, when you retire, you're going to be able to do what you want to do instead of laying on a couch or being bedridden from having your back all tore up. Big deal.
Sometimes a problem can seem so big that it's almost insurmountable. But the men at Tolk Station showed that a little teamwork and ingenuity can solve even the most daunting problems.
Well, here at Tolk, everything's big. Everything's big, everything's heavy. If you don't pay attention, you can get hurt real quick.
I'd hear horror stories about the bow mill row and how heavy everything was, and guys getting hurt.
The valve itself probably weighs about 2,400 pounds, so it's heavy work. And there are 4 valves on top of each mill, and we used to have to walk each valve around the mill with chain hoists.
The overhaul started, and we started lifting all the piping off the top of the discharge valves. And it was unbelievable to me of how many chain falls and come-alongs and rigging that took place of just the piping itself. Then when we started bolting the discharge valves, I thought, wow, it was, you had to have 6-8 come-alongs and literally rig while the discharge valve was in midair to transfer it to another come-along to walk it over to where the hoist was to let it down.
Well, it's just so much work. I mean, it works, but you'd have to lift it up and kind of walk it over, and it takes a lot of rigging, pick it up, and you have to re-rig. And so we was looking, and Larry said, man, there's got to be a better way, I told Larry, I said, man, the cart's got to work here,
Orlando came up with an idea. I says, what's the possibility of making a cart? So we talked about it a little bit, and I started taking some measurements and started building it. And the more I looked at it, and I thought, man, we can do this. We can make it work.
After it's made, we took it up there and we clamped it around that center pipe and lowered that first discharge valve on there, and it just rode right into place real easy, and we were all surprised but all excited about it as well.
So you raise the discharge valve up once it's all unbolted, and you slide the discharge valve cart under it, and you position it where you can let it down.
I know what it's like going through all the long hours working with the chains and stuff, but this last time around it's really enjoyable.
The moving the valves around, you're probably saving, I'm going to say, maybe as much as a week. It's a safety thing for sure, because years ago, a good friend of mine that also worked here, he actually went out on medical disability. We used to use chain hoist after chain hoist after chain hoist, and he messed up his rotator cuff because of that. So now we don't do that, see, not near as much, probably a tenth of what it used to be, if that much.
Yeah, it was a lot easier. It was a great idea.
Xcel Energy employees face physically demanding tasks every day. But many employees, just like you, have had great success in making small changes for big impact. Remember, you are your best safety advocate. Speak up, and when possible, step up to find a solution to any safety hazards that you and your fellow workers face.